Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the new YouTube channel. My name is Harilaos Anesiris, and this channel is going to be focused exclusively on chess, the game of chess. We already have quite a lot of YouTube streamers, and many of you may be wondering, do we really need one more? And I would say, of course, the more YouTube streamers, the better. And I would suggest you do your own research and follow and watch the other YouTube streamers, chess YouTube streamers, to enjoy the wonderful aspects of the game of chess. But for my channel, we're going to explore various aspects. We're going to see what does it take to be a winner, what is the joy of chess, what is a personality that thrives with chess, my own career. We're going to go through some games and many other details as we go along, and always your comments are very welcome. Now, the first part I'm going to share with you is my own experience of chess. How did I find about the game and how I got involved? A brief summary. Now, as you may have guessed from my name, Harilaos Anesiris, I am a citizen of Greece. I was born and raised in Greece. The first time I ever heard about the game of chess was in one TV quiz show. The name of the show was Bingo. And in this game, there were 9 squares 3 by 3, and players would be asked various general trivia questions. You get it right, you fill a square, you put your initial in the square, you have it wrong, your opponent puts it. And the first one to complete 3 squares horizontally, vertically, or diagonally is a winner. The questions were of very general nature, and one of them was the following. By the way, the host of that game was somebody that the older Greeks might remember. His name was Nikos Mastorakis. Now, the question that made me curious about chess was the following. What is a game that has pawns, horses, bishops, towers, but no castles? And I had no idea when I heard it. And the lady that responded, the contestant, she said it's chess. When I heard it, I asked my parents who are watching together with me, what is chess? And they said, it is a game. I asked them, how do you play it? What are the rules? And they told me, let's look at the encyclopedia. At the time, my father had taught me the game of backgammon, tavli in Greek, that was way much popular, because you didn't need to think too much. You just roll the dice and hope for the best. And I was very famous for always getting the best dice. But chess, when my parents said, let's look at the encyclopedia one day, I find the encyclopedia we had at home, and it was an encyclopedia called Ilios, the Sun. Now, for the very old Greeks, you may remember this is a very old encyclopedia written in an archaic language. It's as if you have an English language encyclopedia written in Shakespeare's language. When I read it, I just got a headache. Couldn't understand anything. By the way, when I first checked the word skaki, which is a Greek word for chess, it said, go to the word zatrikion. Now, zatrikion is a very ancient word for chess that today in Greece no one would know what it means. But I went to the zatrikion, and when I saw the description of the game with the rules in an archaic language, I couldn't understand anything. I just got a headache and gave up. But a few years later, I remember when I was 12 years old, a guest to our house gave us as a gift the following book. I'm going to share the screen with you. You see the screen here. It says το σκάκι πλήρης ανάπτυξη θεωρίας και πρακτική της εφαρμογή. The author is Triantafylos Iaperas. Now, many Greeks, especially older ones, knew that At that time, this was the only Greek book of chess. I'm going to translate in English what it says. Το σκάκι is the chess. Πλήρης ανάπτυξη θεωρίας και πρακτικής εφαρμογή means full development of theory and its practical application. I was so excited about this book because it taught chess how it's really played. Because at that time, some of my friends would play chess, but nobody knew about castling. Nobody knew about the en passant rule, and most of the games would be decided by what today we call scholars' mate, but in Greece they call it the Napoleonic mate, meaning when the queen and the bishop attack the f7 pawn and they catch the opponent by surprise. But there in Siapera's book, I finally learned all the rules, the fascination with chess. I still remember after all these years with the following. First, it said you should always expect your opponent to do the best possible move and play accordingly. Don't hope that the opponent may blunder. And I was really surprised because the way that my friends were playing chess was I set a trap, they see it, they avoid it, they set a trap, I see the other person sees and avoids, and they set traps back and forth. And the first one to miss a trap and to fall a victim is a loser and the other is a winner. That's how we play the chess. But Shapira said, no, that's not how you play. You should always expect your opponent to make the best possible move and make sure that even if you see everything, you're still not in a worse position. Next thing that surprised me was that in the very top players, meaning grandmaster level and candidates for the world championship, if you lose a pawn out of mistake, even just one pawn, not because you gambit it or you have what's it called conversation today, but just out of error you lose a pawn, it's enough to resign. I felt surprised because, of course, at that level you could lose a queen and still go ahead and win. And the other thing that surprised me is that it said that you must study chess. You cannot depend on your own skill to become a chess champion. It would be the equivalent as if taking a very smart kid, give them the basics of the Euclidean geometry and expect them to come up with the entire Euclidean geometry. So I read the entire first volume of the book. At the time, by the way, according to the book, and because that's when it was written, the world champion name was Boris Spassky. If you know, he died just a few days ago, but Boris Spassky, the Soviet, had just won the world championship. And a few years later, I bought on my own the second volume of Siapera's, where, of course, the world champion had been Bobby Fischer. This was a more advanced volume. And the author was promising to write a third volume dedicated to chess openings. By the way, the chess openings I found as the most boring part of chess because it required, at least the way it was written in the book, pure memorization, which I hated. As I would find out much later, the author wrote the third volume, had it in a taxi cab, and lost it there and was never recovered until his death. But that was my beginning with chess. My problem at the time, especially in an era without internet, that was that I could not find any opponents. If I found my friends, they were very low level, and most games would be decided by who was careless. I seriously started participating in chess tournaments, and became a member of the United States Federation in 1978. Excuse me, 1998. In the meantime, I've had some good performances, some bad performances, won some tournaments, lost a lot of them. And my current rating is nothing to be proud of. 1554. That is my United States Chess Federation ELO rating. Now, I'm going to share with you what is my rating in chess.com. First, let me share my screen again. Login. By the way, my username is the Harry. How did it come from? Because Harilaos, that's my full Greek name. The abbreviation is Haris. And since the Harry had already been taken as a user ID, I modified it and made it the Harry. Let's look at the stats. You're going to see here that in the daily, I have 1360. This places me in the top 5.1% of the chess players. Daily 960, very rarely played it, I wouldn't count it. Blitz 1649, which places me in the top 2.1%. Bullet 1400 places me in the top 5%. By the way, the percentile you see it here. So then you subtract 100% minus the number you see here, and it means that I'm at the top 5%. Rapid 1850 places me at the top 0.3%. That's I'm quite proud of that, although there is room for improvement always. And do they have the puzzle? They don't have the puzzles. Oh, puzzles. It's here. In the puzzles, my current record is 2851, which would put me in the top 0.3%. And this is a summary of, let's stop sharing now. This is a summary of my chess activities, my chess past. And we're going to continue later on. This is the end of the first program. Hopefully some of you may be watching it. Your comments are always welcome. And of course, I would like to encourage all of you, try to find as many YouTube streamers and watch them and see what they have to say. And hopefully we're starting today the conversation and we'll continue along the way. And I'm so excited of sharing chess with you.